The internet is a powerful tool that contains the whole world's information, and you can pretty much teach yourself how to do anything. Well, today we're taking to the streets of TikTok and we're gonna see if I can learn how to ollie on a skateboard. Okay, so I'm gonna see if TikTok can teach me how to ollie. First up, we got this guy, Park Sharks. Turn my trash ollies into gold with this quick tip.
Why your ollies suck.
Dang, dude, aggressive straight away.
Okay, all jokes aside,
like the
there's actually a little bit of what I believe is a misconception when people are teaching others how to ollie when they're first beginning.
Enough, good.
So typically, a lot of people would say, you want to put your foot near the middle and then you slide it towards the nose as you pop. They're actually skipping a step. You're not just sliding your foot towards the nose, because if you were to just, as soon as you pop, slide your foot that way, it kicks the board away from you. So you're actually not sliding your foot towards the nose. You're just picking your foot straight up. So I'm going to use my hand as my front foot. As you pop and you just lift it straight up, it meets the nose. And basically all an ollie is transferring that energy. So this is the first energy. The second energy is you hit it and it transfers that energy and brings the back up. So it's like a waving motion. Pop down, pick straight up, and then push out and then pull up.
VFX. I think that's an interesting concept that he thought, and like he, you know, obviously he's just trying to make a little like viral TikTok right now, but I don't necessarily agree. I think what he neglects to say in this video is that we are jumping. Like, people really kind of, they get so focused on the technique of ollie of like, I press and I slide and it's up. But it's like, no, you gotta jump. Like, you wanna ollie, you gotta jump up. So like, yeah, we are just lifting our foot up, but I wouldn't say it as lifting our foot up. I'd say this, we are jumping and sliding our foot. I think that's probably a good way to say it. But that did seem like a helpful tip. You know, like if you've never skated before and you just watch this, I don't know if it would necessarily help you learn to ollie, but I think if you were practicing ollies and like not quite getting the timing, then maybe this would help you. So that was pretty good, good stuff.
How to lead.
All right, let's see how. Looks good. That's my stance, okay. Step 1, put it into my hand. Step 2. Step 3, boom, it's done. Whoa, all right, this should be step 3, and step 3 should be step 4, because step 3 was literally doing an ollie. Step 5, simple as that. I mean, he's not wrong. Like, that technically is how to ollie, but I definitely would have added some voiceover and explained myself a little bit as to what's going on. Because if a non-skater watched this, they would never, ever, ever be able to ollie just by watching this. I do like the jumping on flat to help you, because like what I was saying, people really neglect the jumping. They just all thinking about the technique, and they just kind of think if they pop and slide their feet at the right time, it will make them propel into the air. But it's like, yo, you gotta jump. So I do like that he emphasized that, but I don't think the order is quite right there. So good stuff, skater at 222. Next up, that skater Austin. How to ollie for beginners.
This is how to ollie for beginners.
Great.
The first thing we want to focus on is our foot placement. A lot of people have their feet too wide, which causes them not to be able to get in the air. Here's where you want to have your feet on the board with your front foot right in front of the front truck. This is going to help us get in the air when we ollie, which leads us into our next thing, pop and slide.
That's pretty
We're
good.
We're going to pop the board with our back foot and slide our front foot upwards to get air. And lastly, we need to keep our weight centered. A lot of people lean too far forward and fall off the front of the board. If we keep our weight...
Do they lean too far forward? I don't know if I've ever seen someone try to ollie and lean too far forward. The most common thing that I hear from ollie is they're scared that they're gonna slip out and fall back. And like, I don't know why that's their fear. I feel like they watch too many cartoons or something. But in skating, that doesn't really happen. But that's why you say, oh, go on grass, go on somewhere where you can't roll. I feel like that's good advice. But leaning too far forward, like, I don't know if I've ever really seen that. But I tell you what's cool about skating is like, you can just watch someone ollie and then you can kind of like tell their skill. Like, this guy's like pretty good at skating, but I would say he's still like relatively new and hasn't been skating that long. Sometimes beginners like that because they want to learn from someone that has learned it recently. Like, if you're trying to learn to ollie from someone that's ollie for like 20 years, it's not necessarily better. Next up, we got Meadow times Scott. The actions in this video are performed by professional or supervised by professionals. Do not attempt.
This is how to get your ollies from looking like this to this.
Okay, so this isn't a tutorial. This is how to improve them, which is also good.
Doing that, do a karate kick. So when you're jumping, your foot is gonna be like, and then gotta kick it out. Look at that. You see the screenshot? I literally kicked the board out like a karate dojo.
I mean, that is valid. Like, if someone has been olling a while and they've never ever tried to like push it out, and we call it like boning it out, then like that is a good thing to try.
You know how to karate kick? Try to slam your front foot down right when you pop. Bend down, get that jump. One of the best things that you could do though, ollie over things. Start off with something small. You have to fail to succeed. I got this tiny battery. None of these tips helped. Maybe try a different trick. Like club it. Don't give up.
That was solid. A nice little inspirational message at the end. I think olling over something is really good advice, but it doesn't necessarily have to be like an obstacle like a battery. It's like she could just ollie over this line, I think would be perfectly fine, and like really help us get the timing and just kind of practice things and then slowly progress. Like it's usually typical ollie over the line, then ollie over the garden hose or like the stick or the broomstick or whatever, and then you can keep progressing, and then you ollie over a board and you're like, yo, I ollied over a board, like that's sick. One thing that I would like to see in tutorials as well, especially when we're talking about like how to take your ollies to the next level, is a lot of people, they bend down wrong. They bend over their torso and they just kind of lean forward, whereas you need a bend in your knees, and I think she could have emphasized that a little bit more in how to like get a better crouch. But that was solid, good stuff. Before we get back to the video, I'd like to thank the sponsor of today's video, Fume. Not everything in a bad habit is bad. So instead of a drastic, uncomfortable change, why not remove the bad from your habit? Fume is an award-winning flavor device that does exactly just that. Instead of electronics, Fume is completely natural. Instead of vapor, Fume uses flavored air. Instead of harmful chemicals, Fume uses all natural, delicious flavors. You get it. Instead of bad, Fume is good, and it can fill the void in a natural, guilt-free way. Personally, I really like the crisp mint flavor. Fume has served over 150,000 customers and has thousands of success stories. There's no reason you can't be one of them too. Head to tryfume.com/RickyGlaser to get 10% off when you purchase the Journey Pack today, or scan the QR code on the screen. The link is down there in the description, but tryfume.com, code RickyGlaser. Okay, back to the video. Next up, we got the homie Johnny Ringer. Let's see if he can teach me how to ollie.
How anyone can learn to do an ollie on a skateboard. The ollie is the easiest way to get past any obstacle in front of you. There's endless variations of it, and anyone can learn how to do it. So beginners and posers, listen up. The two most basic steps of an ollie are the back foot getting the board in the air and the front foot leveling out the board. Place your back foot somewhere around here on the tail of your board.
See, again, I feel like we haven't even mentioned that we have to jump. We're just saying like, oh yeah, back and front foot, they work together and they get the board in the air. It's like, no, we gotta jump,
Now, to get the board in the air, crouch down, and as you're jumping back up, that's when your back foot does this pointy motion like this. Once you feel comfortable moving your back foot like this, it's time to focus on the front foot leveling out the board. The front foot positioning should be placed somewhere behind the screws right around here. And what the front foot does to level out the board is this ankle roll motion right here. Once you've mastered this ankle motion right here, you're ready to put the two steps together and try some ollies. To make sure that your front foot does its job and gets the board leveled out in the air, try thinking about landing on your front two wheels like this.
I've never heard anyone say that, but that seems sketch. Like, you want to go into nose many straight away, and like, he has a lot of control, obviously, because he's a good skater, but it's like, I think that was a little bit of information overload, and I feel like it was like, kind of showing like a negative example. It's like, you want to show more of a beginner example, rather than like, an elite skater landing in nose many, because like, no kid learning to ollie is going to do that.
Everything crouched down, and while jumping back up, point your back toe, and after you feel it in the air, do the ankle roll motion with your front foot.
One thing that I would like to see them talk about too is when they're saying the foot positioning, no one really talks about the back foot positioning. And like, I always say, like, you really want to have the ball of your foot right on the tail so you can push the force down and then jump up as best you can. Whereas I feel like no one's really mentioned that yet, that we really want to be like having our foot in a prime position to like snap down as best we can. They kind of just say, put foot on back and press down. Whereas I feel like that's kind of like a key element. But that was decent. Probably not the best out of the other ones so far. Next up, we got Sandy Thackeray. Easy ollie tutorial. These ones without voiceover, I'm skeptical if they're actually going to work or if it's just like visual. As simple as that. One day and it goes. I mean, I guess he did say be patient. I don't know. That was pretty basic. I guess he was like basically saying the same thing, but just hyper condensed. But see, like even here, like what I said, he's showing a negative example that his foot's not even in the good popping position. He's just saying like, yeah, hit tail and slide, whatever. Yeah, probably not the best. The jump motion was nice though. Underscore eliminator with an A.
Today's trick tip is how to ollie.
Thank you. Ooh, over the camera and back.
To get started, this is where you'll place your feet. I like to have my back foot at the center of the tail and the front foot just slightly past the center of the board. The secret to this trick is only the timing, but you'll need to learn the steps first.
Also, one of the first people to actually say the word timing, which I feel like is the official most important thing. So
first step
kudos
is
to
to push
that.
down with your back foot to snap the tail. Second step is to slide your front foot forward to level out the board. And step 3.
I like the graphics.
When starting, you can practice these steps individually, but to get off the ground, you want to put everything into one smooth motion. You might run into some challenge like not being able to get off the ground, rocket ollies, but don't get discouraged. It's part of the learning process, and here's a tip that can help you out. Once you get comfortable with snapping your tail and sliding your front foot forward, picture jumping with your front foot first, followed by your back foot. Because when you're doing an ollie, your front foot comes up first, followed by your back foot.
See, this is solid. Like, this guy is really going through it right now. I think that was really, really good. And I like that he had the problem solving too. Like that previous one, it just says, do this, do this, do this, you're done. This one you could actually watch, try, then watch it again, then try, then watch it again, and like actually kind of learn from it. I think this was probably the best one so far. I like the graphics too. Next one by Play Cub.
Since you dumb pieces of shit don't know how to ollie, I'm gonna have to teach you.
Coming in aggressive.
Welcome
I
to
do
trick
like
tip
the
number
shirt
2,
though.
how to ollie. First things first, grab the board like this.
Okay.
I'm serious. Throw it down. Put your foot like this. Put your hand like that. Like that. Listen to me. Why aren't you listening to me? Why don't you ever listen?
He knows.
Just listen for once.
Let's see it, dog. Let's see the ollie.
Okay, now that I have your attention, put your hand like this and start jumping.
Finger
You see that? I'm jumping. If you can't do this, don't even try to do my trick tip 1, which was doing a finger flip. Let's put it in motion.
Yeah. Obviously this was a joke, but I actually wonder if you could do this easier than doing an ollie. Maybe. I don't know though. It probably does have too much technique, but it's possible. Okay, well that is it for the ollies of TikTok. I think that was kind of helpful, but if you really want a comprehensive ollie tutorial, you can watch this video right here. This is my tutorial where I gave you all the problem solving, all my tips. I feel like that's the best way to learn it. But that is it for this video. I like skate.